Hey, Michael.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I haven't done this before. This is the first time we're doing this, so you're the guinea pig. And
Yes.
my idea was is to do this kind of like web segment where we called it Talking to Strangers, and it was twofold. One, that the person I'm talking to is kind of a stranger. There's probably lots of magicians out there I've never met. And then second, just like talking about their approach, like how they talk to strangers. And I
Mhm.
think that's a big deal for a lot of people, especially people just starting out. Like you kind of walk out the door and you've got tricks on you and you're thinking in your head, oh, I hope somebody asks me to show them a magic trick. But nobody knows you're a magician and they're not going to ask. So, we gotta figure out how to cross that boundary and get the, cojones up really to go perform live. And, when you hear magicians talk about advice and getting better, one of the answers you always hear is you just got to get out there and perform. Like that's the way you get better. I think the easy thing for us right now is that we're not strangers. People don't know Michael and I have actually met in real life. Michael works at Disneyland. I used to work at Disneyland. I had the pleasure of going into the magic store to meet with him and to see him perform. So we have some things in common. So I think this is an easy first conversation to be with you.
Yeah, well, it's good if I'm the guinea pig, then we want this to be as seamless as possible. So I won't throw you too many curveballs, and hopefully the technology and everything cooperates while we do this.
Totally. Do you remember like performing for a stranger, like way back when? Like, do you remember like some of those first moments that you ever did? Like how old you were, or do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, so when I first started doing magic, I was pretty young. I was maybe like 7, 8, 9-ish, like around that age. A friend of mine got a magic set. I don't remember if it was for his birthday or for Christmas or whatever. And basically, I would go over to his house and we would tear the magic set apart and we would be learning different tricks. He had his tricks that he did, I had my tricks that I did. And we did magic shows for like, the other kids and parents and stuff in the neighborhood. And I don't know if that counts as strangers because like obviously I knew them, but that was my
Yeah.
first time ever really like performing for people. Uh, I didn't really break out into actually performing for strangers until I was much older, though. I stopped doing magic as I started getting into other things like collecting Pokemon cards. And then as I got into high school, I got more into music. So I really focused a lot of my time playing music and whatnot. But then my senior year in high school, I met a magician in Hollywood that was out busking on the street corner on Hollywood and Orange, which is just right down the street from where the Magic Castle is. At the time, I didn't know what the Magic Castle was. And he was just doing magic on the street, performing for tips and whatnot. And long story short, we got to talking a little bit. I explained that I used to be really into magic, but kind of grew out of it. And he was so kind to let me stand right next to him while he performed for the next group and kind of show some of the secrets of what he was doing. He would flash, like when he would palm the card off the top of the deck, he'd hide his hand behind his back and show me that he had the card palmed off and all of that stuff. And just perform
You're
for
behind him.
yeah, I'm kind of standing like off to the side, kind of behind him here, and he's performing for them, but he's
Yeah.
kind of showing me what he's
Right.
doing. And after that, we chatted a little bit. He recommended that I check out, like Royal Road to Card Magic and Bobo's, Modern Coin Magic if I wanted 13 coins and stuff. And so I went to the local library. I picked up a copy of Royal Road to Card Magic, and I just started learning all the material in there. And at that time, I was kind of starting to show magic to my friends at school. I was still a senior in high school at this time. So I was starting to kind of show magic again and kind of get back into it. And then out of high school, I needed a job. So my first job out of high school was working in the downtown Disney district, which is basically like the little shopping mall area
Yeah.
outside of the Disneyland park. And I worked at a kiosk that sold magic tricks for this company called Houdini Magic. They were based in Las Vegas, but they had a kiosk at Disneyland. in that downtown Disney area. So that was my real test now where I started to perform for strangers. But here's the thing, I got really kind of thrown into the fire, right? Where it was a situation where like you have no choice but to interact with strangers because your job is to perform for them and then sell
Right.
the magic product that was on the stand. Um, the more I did that, the more comfortable in my skin I started to get as a performer, and I started to learn who I was, which is a very interesting thing when you're first starting out. And if you've not performed a whole lot for people, it's hard to kind of figure out who you are as a performer. Am I a silly guy? Am I cracking jokes? Am I more serious? Do I prefer maybe not talking so much and letting the visual aspect of the
Right.
magic speak more for itself? You start to learn all these things the more and more you do it. Um, and like I said, I got pretty decent at performing for people pretty quickly. But here's the thing, not everyone has a kiosk that sells magic where you can just scoop people in and just,
Yeah.
it's automatic at that point.
Right.
It's like an automatic lead generation machine for for
You had
performances.
a big sign over your head that said, I do magic.
Literally, literally. So that was good for me to practice, but not very good for me to approach people. If anything, I think it
Right.
was a crutch because I was not approaching anybody. They were coming to me, right? So I found myself in the situation where I'm like, I want to perform for more people outside of where I work. How the heck do I do that? I don't have a kiosk where people can come to me and they can ask me questions. So what I started doing at first was organically creating that situation where people would see magic and then want to come to me. And so what I would do is I would just be practicing with my cards, maybe rolling a coin on my fingers or springing the cards, doing some like flashy cuts and stuff like that. And of course, I would strategically position myself in such a way that I knew that people could see me doing this. And so as I'm kind of just practicing and shuffling the
Like, where
cards,
are you? Like, where are you in those moments?
anywhere in public, like waiting for a movie or at the
Okay.
mall or at the park or something like this. Anywhere really that people are just kind of hanging out. And so inevitably someone would see me playing with the cards and things. And,
Right.
oh, are you doing magic tricks? Can you show me one?
Right.
And now for me, that was more comfortable. I didn't feel like I was bothering anybody. I didn't feel like I was stopping because that's for me, that's the biggest thing. It's like I don't want to be
Oh, yeah.
bothering anyone. I don't want to walk
Right.
up to someone, hey, can I show you? No, we don't want whatever you're selling. No, get out. I don't want to join your MLM. Get out of here, right? And so it's like I didn't want people to think that I was trying to like ask for money or to scam them or to rope them into something that they didn't want to be a part of. So it was very hard for me to go and stop people on the street. So, like I said, for me, at least starting out, the best approach was to have them come to me because that's what I was used to. And so I just organically created that situation. So, I mean, if you could find a way to kind of showcase what you're doing, but you're not performing, you're just kind of
Right.
doing this for yourself. And then people are going to see, and then you kind of look around and you see who's watching you, and inevitably you're going to make eye contact with someone who's just like watching you do your thing, right? And maybe they might not say anything; they're just kind of watching. And I might be like, "You guys want to see something?" And they're, "Oh yeah, definitely." And then they're going to come over and they're going to want to watch you,
I mean, in
right?
that
So
same, yeah, in that same way, you could almost like your friend or your spouse could, they're not a stooge, but you could say, hey, let me show you a trick and just let's see if other people want to come over and watch. Like even if your friend has seen that trick before, you'd almost be
mhm.
like using them as a dummy. Like, hey, I'm gonna show you this trick and let's just see if some other people, come over here and look at what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
You made your own sign,
That's
basically.
literally what I did was I just figured
Right,
out a way to do what I was already doing at the magic kiosk without having the kiosk advertising that I was doing magic.
right.
So yeah, I mean, if you could find ways to do that, that's going to be super helpful. Now, the more that you do this and the more established you are, depending on where you're performing. For example, I perform at a restaurant here in Orange County every week. It's a lot different when I'm in a professional environment and I can walk up to a table and be like, hi, how we all doing today? Is everything tasting good? Awesome, awesome. My name is Michael. Believe it or not, I'm actually the magician here at the restaurant. Would it be okay if I showed you guys just a couple of tricks before you wait for your main course to come out, right? And it's a different situation when you're sort of an authority figure, where people at least know, like, okay, this guy works here. He's not just like some guy, right? And so when you're in that sort of position, it makes it a lot easier to not interrupt isn't the right
Yeah.
word, but to kind
You're
of,
supposed to be there.
yeah, to get into the middle of, whatever's going on, whether they're having a conversation or they're, like on their phone or whatever, right?
Right.
It's implied that I'm there to provide a service. If you're not quite at that level yet, and you're just starting out, or maybe you've been doing magic for a really long time and you've got the skills, you've got the chops, you just don't really know how to find people to perform for. I think the fisherman like thing, like I was saying, where you cast that thing and you wait for them to bite and reel them in,
Lure. Yeah.
sort of thing that I kind of explained a little while ago, is probably going to be your best bet. And just park yourself on a bench somewhere that's in public, where there are loads of people walking around, people sitting down, maybe, like I said, waiting for a movie to start at the theater, or
Yeah.
hanging out at the mall, or something like that. That's what I would recommend anyway.
And from what I remember from those kiosks, like weren't you pushing a lot of Delight and Hover Card?
Yeah, that was pretty
So
much the number one
so
sellers.
that even if somebody wasn't at your booth at that one time, you could play with Delight, and then that would just be and people just walk right up to you and say, "What are you doing?" Or
Mhm.
you would do Hover Card, and then they would just walk right up and go, "Show me a magic trick." Like if you think
Yeah,
about those two things, those are great lures. Like if you just took Delight to the movies and you were playing with it, some kid's gonna walk up to you and say, "What are you doing?" And then you
yeah,
can just say, "Hey,
exactly.
you want me to show you a magic trick?" Or like if you did hover card, just when you're waiting for your table at a restaurant, somebody's gonna ask you like, "What the heck?" Instead of just
Exactly.
saying, instead of just walking up to somebody, because you don't need an audience member for that. You can't do a vicious card to nobody. You can't, right? You can't just practice that. So yeah, those
Yeah, no,
those
that's
two
definitely it.
those two tricks make great. I mean, you want to call them lures? They make great lures to
Yeah,
walk
I,
around
I
with.
really like I really like that analogy too, of like the lure, like this whole, you're casting out that that lure, waiting for someone to
Yeah,
bite. And then when they do, now you can, and you'll feel the moment too. Like if they're like avoiding eye contact and they're like not wanting to look at what you're doing, don't be like, "Hey, look over here, I'm doing a card trick," right? Like obviously you don't want to do that. But if it feels more like, you can feel the eyes watching you. Like, have you ever just like been fiddling, and you're not doing this intentionally to get attention, but you're
right.
fiddling and you just can feel it. People are watching me right now, and you look up, and the next thing you know, there's like eyes just on you, just like watching what you're doing. When you have that sort of reaction from people, that's when you want to be like, "Hi, I'm a magician. You guys want to see something?" And chances are 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say yes. Like, unless they're in
Yeah,
a hurry and they've got somewhere to be, they're gonna want to see what it is that you're gonna perform.
yeah. And do you think that helps? Is that you have like not well, yeah, it'd be a script but it's an opening script. Like you said at a restaurant, like I'm gonna say the same thing. You're like, "Hi, my name is Michael. The restaurant's hired me to do some magic. Would that be okay for you guys?" But then also, even if you were just going to approach somebody cold, like you're probably going to start with a set thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that you can play in your head you're comfortable with saying, like, I'm going to say this thing. This is my opening line.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot like just meeting a person, like you're gonna walk into a room and you want to make a new friend. You got to think, well, what am I gonna say when I walk up to this person? For me, the easiest icebreaker is to just find something that we have in common, right? So let's just say, I mean, I'm not a big sports fan, but let's just say I was like, I don't know, like a big baseball fan or something, right? And I noticed that this guy is wearing like a Dodgers like jersey or a Dodgers hat or something, right? And I'm at a party. I might be like, "Hey man, how the Dodgers doing this year?" "Oh, they're doing great, blah blah." Or, "Oh man, they're really sucking this year, blah blah blah." "Oh yeah, man, that's rough, like I know how it is, blah blah blah." Like my favorite sports team is so and so, like,
Yeah.
and they're shit this year, or whatever, you know. And so you have that sort of like little icebreaker that you have, right? Where it's called small talk is what it is, right? Where, hey,
Yeah.
how's the weather doing? Ah, the weather is, the weather is, it's been raining all day, it's cold, and then it's hot the next day, whatever, And so it's not really have anything to do with the conversation you want to have, but it's a nice little lead into the conversation that you want to have. So if you can find some way to do that, but with magic, right? Um, and there's different schools of thought on how to approach people cold too. So if let's just say you're not a fan of the reeling them in thing, you actually want to be more engaging. You want to go out and you want to actually start talking to people. There's a couple of different schools of thought on this. For me, the main two are going to be the ask first and then get permission from them to perform for them. That's usually how I do it. And then the second one is to catch them off guard with something magical, let them react to it, and then be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a magician. Would you like to see some more?" Right? So for example, in the first version, the analogy that I used earlier, I'd approach someone, "Hi, my name is Michael. I'm actually a magician. I'm just walking around right now. I'm looking for someone to show some magic to. I need to practice. And you don't have to pay me or anything. I'm just looking to show and share my craft with some people. I just need to get some flight time in. Would it be okay if I should? You guys have a few minutes? Can I show you something?" Right? That would be, and it's an honest thing. You're not trying to trick them into anything or anything like that. Because again, I don't know about you, but when I'm walking down the mall or whatever, and someone stops me and they're trying to talk to me,
Right.
the first thing I think is, dude, I don't want to buy it. Like whatever you're
Yeah.
trying to get, whatever
Right.
money you're trying to get out of me, no, you're
Yeah.
not going to polish my shoes. You're not going to sell me a $50 shoe kit for my $10 pair of shoes that I got at Walmart. Like I'm not, like I
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're trying to sell me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what people think. But if you tell them, like, look, I'm just a magician that's just trying to practice because I want to get better at what I do, because someday I'd like to start doing this professionally. And in
Yeah.
order to get there, I need to have, a certain number of hours under my belt of me performing. Um, that could work. Um, when I go out with my friends to film on the street, we do. I don't do this so much anymore. I should probably start doing it again. But me and my good friend David Bonfadini used to go out all the time. You might have heard of him. He's the Magic Crasher on YouTube.
Yeah.
We used to go out all the time, and he would do what he would call guerrilla street magic. And basically, what this
Yeah.
means is he would literally just go out and we would just find someone, and he would, it got to a point where he'd be like, "Hey Michael," and he would just click his fingers and point, and I would see who he's pointing at, and I go, "Okay, cool." And I already knew what he meant. He meant like, "All right, you're gonna go start performing for that person, and I'm gonna be ready with the camera. We're gonna get some footage, right?"
Did the
So
person know they were being filmed?
so this is how we have to stage this now, because you don't want
Okay.
to like be hiding in a bush
No.
filming someone, and you also don't want to run up on someone with a camera, right? So what we would do is we would go up to a group and we'd be like, "Hi, my name is Michael. This is my friend David. We're actually working on a project right now, and all we need is to get some video footage of me performing magic for people. Does that sound like that would be something that's okay with you?" And they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. And
Right.
doing it this way, you are going to get rejected more, especially when a camera's involved. But at least this is, we're just telling them straight up, like, this is what we want to do. We just want to film performing magic for people. And then, does that sound like something that you'd be interested in doing? Right.
Right. Because, yeah. And you're
And then you
telling
get,
them this be on social media, probably.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll let them know. Yeah, this is going to get posted on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff. And you're going to get a couple of different reactions from people. The first reaction is generally, I don't really want my face on the internet, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then, you know, if our goal is to get footage for the day, usually we'll thank them and move on. But if your goal is to perform, then you can say, "How about this? How about we won't use the camera, and I'm just going to go ahead and perform it for you anyway, and we won't film it, but at least I'll get some practice time to work out the kinks on my trick or whatever, right?" And now they might be a little bit more comfortable, and now you can perform it for them, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first way to do it. Is just to just go straight out and to just tell someone, "This is what we would like to do. Can I do it?" Basically, that's the ask permission version of it. The second version is to do something to get their attention, something magical, right? There's a magician. This magician is who I started really learning restaurant magic from. His name is David Stone. He's a French magician, and he put out this series called what was it called? Uh, the Real Secrets of Close Up Magic or something like that. I think was the name of
Okay.
the video series. Have you heard of this, David? You know what I'm talking about?
I know who David Stone is,
Yeah,
but it,
the real secrets of magic. I think that's the name
okay.
of the series. And basically what he would do is he would teach magic tricks in this video, but he could
Yeah.
also partner these magic tricks with useful bits of information. And one of the bits of information that I learned was getting their attention. So one thing that he might do is he would casually drop his wallet on the floor next to a table, and then he would come walking by and he would be like, did you drop your wallet? And he'd pick it up and he'd go to hand it to the person. And of course, the person's gonna be like, no, that's not my wallet. Let me see if it has a driver's license. And then as he goes to open it, boom, it's a fire wallet. And then the flames go up, right? And then everyone's like, whoa. And he's like, I'm just kidding. It's my wallet. I'm actually a magician. Would you like to see some magic? Right. So something like that could be another way to approach. Now, I'm not saying to walk up to people and do fire wallet. You
Right.
should make sure that you're allowed to do a fire wallet. Every state and every city has its own like fire code ordinances and stuff. So make sure that you know what you're doing if you're going to use any kind of flame effect or anything like that, any flash paper, fire sparks. But it doesn't have to be fire. It could be really anything, right? So like maybe you can say, did you drop the coin on the floor? And they're like looking for the coin, and you pretend to pick it up, and you're just going to kind of produce it at your fingertips as you pick it up. Yeah, this it's a well, this is kind of a cool little coin. It looks like a $50 coin. Is this yours? And then as they hold out their hand, you make it disappear, and then you produce it over here. I'm just kidding. I'm actually a magician. Would you like to see some magic? And now you're going to go into your one coin routine and whatever you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's the more proactive way to kind of approach people. You are going to get rejected more. People are going to be like, no, I don't feel comfortable with that or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes being rejected is going to strengthen you as well, because you're going to get over that fear of rejection. You're just going to come to understand that it's just part of it, and it's okay. It's okay to approach a group and be like, hey, my name is Michael. I'm a magician. This is what I do. I just show magic to people and I have a really good time doing it. Would you guys like to see some magic? You don't have to pay me or anything. No, I don't really believe in magic. It's not really my thing. My ex girlfriend left me for a magician, or whatever. I don't know, whatever their excuse is.
Yeah.
And you just be like, you know what, no problem, well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, and you have a great day, and you just move on, right?
And
So
that's a really good way of, I mean, the fact that you said girlfriend, like I think when we throw that in, or asking somebody out, like the way we think about rejection is you'd think about like, oh, I'm gonna walk up to a girl and ask her to dance, or walk up to a girl and ask her on a date, and then she rejects you, and then you take that
mhm,
personally. You're like, oh, must be my attitude or my personality, or I'm not attractive. But as a magician, if and I just thought of this, like if I were to walk up to somebody and say, hey, can I perform some magic for you? And they said no, well, they just told you that they wouldn't have made a good audience member anyway.
mhm,
Like, you don't want to do magic for them. So I wouldn't take it as a rejection, like, oh, I must not be a good magician. Well, no, because they didn't even see you perform.
exactly.
They just self-weeded themselves out. Like, they wouldn't have been a good audience member for you anyway,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's totally true. Yeah, and I think the less time you waste on like trying to convince someone that doesn't want to see you perform to watch you do your thing, you put that energy into finding someone that does want to watch you perform, right?
Right.
So like, don't be begging people. Don't be, oh, come on, man, it's just gonna be 2 minutes. Oh, it's just a trick. It's free. You don't even have to pay for it. Blah blah blah. Like that's gonna come off like
Right.
kind of weird, right? Desperate, maybe. It reeks of like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's definitely gonna try to sell me something, right? And so Yeah, you just show up. Hey, can I show you something cool? They say no. "Ah, you know what, man? No problem. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day. Hey, I'll
Right.
be around. If you see me and you change your mind, you just let me know, okay?
Yeah.
And then you go over here, and this guy says yes, and then you perform for him and his friends, and the reactions are off the chart. And then the next thing you know, this guy's gonna come over. Actually, can you show us too? Right? Like it might happen. You never know. So
Yeah.
yeah, like that's kind of the approach that I take at the restaurant when I perform too. I do get rejected at tables sometimes. Sometimes people are just like, you know what, we're good. I haven't seen this person in a long time. We're just catching up. We're just enjoying a nice, easy night out. We're not really up for entertainment tonight, but thank you. And I just say, oh, that's totally fine. No worries. If you change your mind, I'll be about. Just summon me and I'll come over here and I'll show you something cool. And then I get amazing reaction from the table, like three tables down. And then what do you know? This group is going, oh, you know what? Actually, we had a change of mind. We would love to see some magic. Right. So yeah, I think the moral of this whole story is you just got to kind of try different things and see what works for you, whether you take the more passive approach of reeling them in or the more aggressive approach of going to them directly and just asking them if they would like to see something.
Where is there a location or a setting where you'd be like, I would never walk up to somebody cold in a or at a where? Like I'm sure may okay, like a bank. But like what would be a bad place or a bad setting?
Any like private retail business or like some kind of private establishment that like I wouldn't go into like a Foot Locker when people are like looking at shoes and stuff and like bugging them to like see a magic trick. It would be probably more like somewhere in public, somewhere where people are just kind of passively going about their day. They're not really like doing a whole lot. Um, and that's for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't want to bug the person that's
Right.
got something to do.
Grocery
You're like,
shopping.
no, like I got chores to do. I gotta run here. I gotta do this. I gotta go to the bank. I gotta go do this, right? And you don't want to like stop them from what they're doing. But then on the other side, for the business, you don't want the business to kick you out because you're bugging their customers and you're trying to show their customers magic and stuff like that
Right.
too. So yeah, I mean that's probably it. I mean, and then like the obvious places like don't walk into a restaurant and start trying to perform for the people at the tables if you don't work there, right? Don't interrupt a ceremony or something that's happening. Don't walk into a church and just start performing magic for people in church while they're praying or
Firewalling.
whatever. Like these are the obvious things. But honestly, just use your best judgment. That's what I would say.
Earlier when you were talking about you and David Bondafini and saying like, oh, that person, it made me remember like the old term, uh, like somebody's a mark. And
Hmm.
that's basically what you're doing. You're scanning and you're looking for a mark. So when you're looking for someone to perform magic for, like, what are you looking for in a person?
Someone that looks bored, someone that might just be on their phone. There's a lot of times where
Not on their phone,
no,
like
like
on
like
their phone.
like like yeah, like text
Yeah,
like on phone or this.
yeah,
If you see someone just doing this, that tells you they're just like on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and they're just wasting time. They're bored, right? Those people I love to perform for because usually they're down. They're just like, oh yeah, dude, like I'm so freaking bored right now. I'm just like, you can only look at so many, videos of your aunt's like cat on Facebook before you're ready to throw your phone against the wall. So like those kinds of people. Couples, I love performing for couples because you do something kind of fun and special for them, especially if they're on a date. I've done a few first dates where oh, hi, how do you guys know each other? Oh, this is a date. Oh, cool, awesome. How long have you been together? This is our first date. Oh, really cool. This is going to be a first one to remember then. This is going to be something you guys are going to talk about later when you're, on the altar or whatever. And you kind of like do like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing.
no pressure.
Hopefully it all works out for you guys and all of that stuff. So, yeah, usually like couples, people that look bored. Again, avoid people that look like they're in having an intense conversation. If people are talking, especially if they're like fighting, right? Or arguing or something. Obviously, you don't want to get in the middle of that.
Yeah.
If it looks like it's friends that are catching up and they haven't seen each other in a long time, obviously best to avoid that. You don't want to get in the middle of their quality time that they're trying to spend with each other. But again, use your best judgment. See who looks like they'd be the most fun. People that
Mhm.
are laughing. If they look angry, maybe not them. But honestly, actually, now that I'm thinking of that, even if they look angry, screw it. Perform for them
If
anyway,
if
because,
one of them's crying.
I mean, if they're like crying, I don't know.
No, just one of them.
If you're good at consoling people, if you're good at consoling, like if there's like someone like looking like very sad or something, and you're like, oh, I just noticed that you're not looking like you're having a very good day. I'm a magician. I do magic tricks. Would you like to see a little magic trick? Maybe it'll make you feel better. I don't know,
Yeah.
right? Now if you're a male performer and it's like a female that's by herself, that's another thing that I would recommend too, kind of considering, making sure that you're approaching it very delicately, because the first thing she's going to think of is, ew, creep. No, I'm not giving you my phone number. Right?
Right.
Because a lot of dudes will use some very interesting ways to pick up on girls. And unfortunately, magic is one of those things that dudes will use to try to pick up on women. So you want them to know, like, no, like I'm serious. I'm just doing magic tricks. I'm not trying to get your number or flirt with you or whatever. Like I'm just trying to do magic.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's what I would say for sure.
What about like appearance wise? Like, do you do you go out thinking that okay, I'm doing magic today, and then you make extra care to like just be presentable, clean, like, or do you find that just in your you, like obviously you're not going out in sweatpants and thinking, okay, I'm going to do magic for people. Like you're going out with intention, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this question varies depending on if you're a professional or if you are just like doing magic as a hobbyist. As a professional, I feel like you need to be on 24/7, because you never know when you might be having a conversation with someone in line at the grocery store, and oh, my cousin's getting married in a couple of weeks or whatever. Oh, really? That's so cool. Do they have like any entertainment or anything? Oh yeah, they're gonna have a band and they're gonna have, like this and they're gonna have that. Oh, cool. Are they gonna have a magician? No, I don't think they're going to have a magician. Why? Do you know anyone that would be good for doing Actually, I do know somebody. Here's my card. Boom, right? So like as a professional, I feel like you kind of always need to be on, because you never know when an opportunity to.
You're putting yourself in that category, right? So are
Yeah.
you saying so you're saying that when you go out just casually, you're really not going out casually?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know if you could see, I'm wearing jeans, right?
Right.
So I'm not dressed in a suit. I'm not dressed to the nines or anything like that.
Sure.
But I mean, I'm dressed nice, like a nice pair of jeans, a nice button-down shirt, cologne on, smelling fresh. You don't smell funky like you just got done working out or whatever, right? I feel like if you are a professional and you're trying to actively book as much work as you can, you should always be on. Now, not all of us are in that category where we're
Right.
constantly trying to book work. So if
Right.
that's the case, then yeah, I would say feel free to go out in your sweatpants and your wife beater. If you're just going to the grocery store and you don't care what you look like, you don't have to shower or whatever. Like you do you, boo boo, whatever it is that you feel comfortable in. But if you're like, you know what, today is the day that I think I want to go out and I want to make sure that I get some reps in. I want to go and perform for people. I want to practice, right? Then yes, you want to make sure that you're looking presentable, that your hygiene, you're not smelling funky.
Yeah.
Um, you're wearing nice clothes, nice shoes. Your shoes should be clean under your fingernails. Shave if you have like a little extra scruff, shave the scruff, keep your, facial hair looking good and all of that stuff. Do your hair. Um, like just look good. Look like you are going to um maybe not quite like a job interview or anything like that, but like, like like a nice casual, like
Right.
kind of dress. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
Um, just
Because
something
that
nice, like I said.
that goes back to when you were talking about filming, is that yeah, I'm going out by myself. I'm just going to do some magic for some people just to get some, some time in. You're not walking up to somebody with a camera, but nowadays everybody has a camera.
Hmm.
So I'm performing for so and so. I want to make sure that I look presentable because now her friend's going to get on her camera and film this. And if she throws it up to a social media and she says, "Oh, by the way, can I tag you?" Well,
Hmm.
oh, geez, don't tag me because I look terrible.
I got a big old piece of broccoli in my teeth because I didn't
Right.
brush my
Like,
teeth today.
this isn't how I normally dress. Like, oh, please don't. Like, you want people, nowadays, we want people to film us and throw it up.
And you will get that a lot. You will get, oh, is it okay if I video this? Right. And or you'll just be doing your thing and you'll look up and they're like with their
Yeah. They
camera,
don't even
right?
ask. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, you just want to look presentable in that situation. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I feel like I want to look presentable anyway,
Right. Yeah.
even if I'm not thinking professionally. Um, I I I don't know, call me conceited or whatever, but I just don't want people to judge how I look. Oh, look at that guy. He freaking stinks. And he's like his stomach is hanging out of his shirt. He's got a big old hole in his like shirt or whatever. So like I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to be presentable anyway. But when you're in a situation where your business depends on how much work you're bringing in, you kind of want to be on all the time.
Yeah.
So it just
And
depends
even
on what level you want to take it to.
and coming from you too, like I think the people that know you, they know that if I say Michael O'Brien, okay, Michael O'Brien has a look. Michael O'Brien wears, a hat, he wears a jacket, he wears a collared shirt, like all the time.
Hmm.
Like that, you have a look. And so obviously if you're going to go out and perform, you want to make sure that, okay, I look like Michael O'Brien. This is how I look when I perform. You
Hmm.
you've done this long enough that you know your character.
Hmm.
If you're going
It's
to
a
Walmart,
brand, really. You have a
right? If
brand.
you're going to Walmart to pick up bagels, you're not going to wear your beret, like, or your hat. You're just going to go out.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm just, hanging out casually, just like going shopping or something like that, I'm not going to be necessarily in my full getup, but I'm also not going to just be in like gym shorts and like a t-shirt either. I'm probably going to be wearing jeans and like a nice shirt. It doesn't have to be a button up, but like a nice shirt or something like that. Um, or you can always have a change of clothes in your car too, right? So
Sure.
maybe you're thinking like, you know what, I'm just gonna be casual, whatever, whatever. But then you're like, oh dude, there's like a thing going on today. It's like a festival or something. There's loads of people here. Why don't I just spend a couple hours walking around and seeing if I can get some reps in, some performances in, and you can just like change in your car real quick. Right? Throw your button up on, throw your jacket on. And it's funny too. I've my look before I sort of adopted the whole, like heavily leaning into my Irish heritage kind of brand for myself. My look was very stereotypical magician. It was black suit with like a red collared shirt.
Yeah.
And if I wore a tie, it was the one with the playing cards on it, right? Um, but even if I didn't have my tie on, there would be times where I'm out and about and people would be like, "Are you a magician?" Right? And no cards in my hand or anything. Just, are you a magician? I'd be like, yeah, how'd you know? And I don't know, but you look like a magician.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing
Right?
or not.
And
Yeah.
so, and so, it's one of those things where if you dress the part, I think it'll also make it easier for people to buy what it is that you're laying down. You're
Right.
trying to
The dress for the job you want approach.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think the people that know you and follow you on the socials and stuff, like we know that you're like, yeah, this is what you do. So like we because for those of us who aren't in that realm, we're not at that level, like how we just imagine that everywhere Michael O'Brien goes, he's performing magic. Like he's performing magic every day. Like, how, like realistically, how often are you performing for strangers?
So these days, not as much in my spare time. At first, when I was doing it, we'll say at first is when I got the job at that magic kiosk, because that's when my passion for doing this and my consideration to be like, you know what, I think this is something I really want to do, started is when I was working at the kiosk in Disneyland. So when I first started doing that, I was working an 8 hour shift, and then I'd go home and practice for like 3 or 4 hours. And I would do that like every day. And then when I wasn't working, I'd be out looking for people to perform for, right? And it was
Yeah.
just because I was like super excited to learn and practice and all of that. I'm at a point now in my career where I've pretty much settled into my character. I've settled into my act. I know what it is that I'm doing. If I'm out and about with friends and they want to see some magic, I'll show them. If I'm out in public and I happen to be practicing something and someone sees that I'm practicing and they want to see something, I'll be happy to show them a little something. Am I actively going out and looking for strangers to perform for? Not really anymore these days. I get enough of that where I'm being booked by the venue to be there. So now it's a situation where my flight time is every week at the restaurant or at this cocktail event that they've booked me to be at, or a wedding reception or a company event, this corporate holiday thing, or whatever it is that I'm doing. That's when I'm getting my, sort of flight time in to stay sharp. Because you do want to stay sharp. You don't want to be like, I know what I'm doing. I don't have to practice anymore.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're always practicing. But I'm not actively going out into the world looking for people sat on a bench and approaching them to perform for them, unless I need a piece of content or something, in which case I'll bring a friend with a camera and then we'll do that. But yeah, it's mostly just because I'm at that point in my career now where I kind of don't have to do that anymore. I have enough gigs booked that that's fulfilling that need to perform for me.
So when you were like, so say when you were going out and you were looking to practice or you were looking to just, you know, have more experience under your belt, what did you find what did you find worked the best to carry with you? Like what was your, I'm not asking for like names of tricks, but like just as
Mhm.
far as EDC, what did you carry with you?
Mostly cards. I'm gonna say almost exclusively cards. I tried to get into coin magic. Coin magic was very difficult for me in the front, and it doesn't help that one of my biggest influences at the very start of my career was Shutagawa, and so I was trying to learn all of his material. And if you don't know, he's insane
Oh
and
yeah.
he's superhuman level sleight of hand when it comes to doing stuff with cards and coins. And so, mostly cards. If you just have a pack of cards on you, you're pretty much good to go. Um, I started getting really into sponge ball magic, so I started performing with sponge balls more. And then I started getting into the linking rings, and I almost exclusively performed Shutagawa's routine for a few years in the early years when I was learning the linking rings. I perform a completely different linking ring thing now. But when I did that back then, it was just a standard 4 ring set of linking rings, and then I'd perform Shutagawa's ninja rings routine. Excuse me, his ninja rings routine. And so I'd have a set of 4 rings, some sponge balls in this pocket, and a deck of cards in my pocket. And that was pretty much my everyday out and about. I hope I get to perform this stuff for people. Is it organic? Not really. I mean, who just carries linking
Right.
rings in their pocket, right? But at that point, I was like, I don't really care. I just want to practice this stuff and show it to people and get good at doing this.
Yeah. So like suit jacket pocket, the outside, right?
Yeah, I would have everything just in my suit, in my coat, right? So I'd have like the deck of cards in the inside pocket, linking rings in the outside pocket, sponge balls in the outside pocket, and that would pretty much be it. I'd have like my phone and my car keys and stuff in my trouser pocket, my wallet in the back.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so wearing a suit jacket is super helpful because you have extra pocket space. You can carry that stuff with you when you're out.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, ninja rings are how big?
4.5 inches.
Yeah, they're small.
Yeah, about that
Yeah.
big.
And that's interesting that you said that. Like I don't care. I think nowadays there's a lot of energy on people wanting to perform magic that looks organic.
Hmm.
And you see a lot of the stuff that gets marketed now, it's like decks of it's like keys and your wallet and a pen or credit card magic. It's all these things that would be naturally on your person. And like you just said, like I want to do linking rings. I don't care. Like when people say, "Oh, but it looks like a magician's prop." Yes, and I'm a magician. Like,
Exactly.
why can't it look like a magician's prop?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what your character is. There are magicians like David Penn, for
Yeah,
example. He's branded himself as sort of like the tech guy. So he's doing iPhone magic and
right,
tablet magic and stuff like that. So his EDC is he's going to have like a deck of playing cards on him and a bunch of tech stuff, Apple Watch and like his iPhone and like that's the kind of stuff that he feels comfortable using as his everyday carry,
right,
right? There are people that are like, oh, I got my coffee stir in my pocket because I just got back from Starbucks, and
right.
I've got, this thing. It's like a bottle cap because like I'm really into recycling, so I didn't throw the bottle cap away. So let me show you some coin magic with the bottle cap, right? And so there's people that really want you to believe that they're just doing magic with like random objects, but all of these objects maybe are gimmicked or something, right? Um, Everyone has their own preference. It kind of just depends on what you want to do. Personally, when you're first starting out, I think that you should come up with like 4 or 5 pieces of magic that you really want to get good at, and you should just cycle through those 4 or 5 things over and over and over until you get good at it. My practice philosophy is 3 steps. Step number one, you have to practice the individual moves that you need to learn, right? So again, if I'm going to learn the Chinese linking rings, I got to learn how to link and unlink the rings. So you're just sitting there, link, unlink,
Yeah,
link, unlink, and you're just doing that over and over and putting like hundreds of repetitions in until you can do it without thinking about it, right? So that's step one, practice all the individual techniques. Step two is going to be to actually put the routine together. So now I'm doing the linking rings. I'm not just doing link, unlink. Now I'm thinking, okay, I got to link these 2 rings and I got to get these 2 over here and link them. So now I have 2 and 2 and then link all 4 of those together. So now I have a chain of 4 and then I put them all on one. So that there's 1 and 3 and I start taking everything apart. Right. And that's all the physical bits that you're doing. And then you got to think, oh, what am I saying? What's my scripting, my patter? What am I going to, talk about as I'm doing all of this stuff? You put all of that together and you rehearse it, usually to a camera, right? So you can watch
yeah,
it back and see how you're doing. And then the third one, and this is the one that most people forget about, you have to take that into the real world and you have to show it to people. You have to actually perform it for people because then you're going to learn things that watching yourself in the mirror or watching a video of you back isn't going to help you with. Awkward interactions that you might have with the spectator, right? Where you're at that point in the routine now where the spectator's got to hold this hand out and then cover the card with the other hand. And you're like at that point in the routine and they're holding a drink. And you're like, crap. Now what do I do? I didn't think about
right.
someone didn't have both their hands free. Now what? And
Yep.
and you got to kind of come up with ways to deal with that, right? Or maybe you thought of a really funny joke and you throw that joke out there and crickets. No one thinks it's funny, right? Or vice versa. You're like, I'm just gonna try this. It's probably stupid, but whatever. I'm just gonna try it. And then now it's like, oh, that joke's in my act like all the time because it works. Like people really like it a lot. Or your audience might come up with silly things. I do this
Yeah.
routine where I take a card and I have someone sign the back of the card, and then I basically take their signature off of the card, hand it to them, and then they throw their imaginary signature in the air and it visually lands on the back of another card. And then the other card is the other person's signed card. So now the card's like signed on both sides. And what I would do is I would take the signature off and I'd be like, here, can you go ahead and hold on to your name for me? Just be sure that you don't drop it, okay? And then I'd start shuffling the cards. And one time a spectator goes, yeah, because no one likes a name dropper, right? And I'm just like,
Stealing that.
dude, I'm using that. That's freaking
Yeah.
hilarious, right? So now take the name off the card. Here, go ahead and hold on to your name. Just make sure you don't drop it, okay? You know why. No one likes a name dropper. And then you move on. And it's like I wouldn't have come up with that joke unless I didn't hear someone say it. And it was because I was performing it for people.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So practice the individual techniques, put the whole thing together and rehearse it, go out and perform it for real people.
Yeah. Just the last performance I just did, I'd done, all those things. I'd practiced and I had everything down and I had everything riding on the finale. Like I was gonna be like, I'm gonna have this big closer and it's gonna be great. And it was gonna be just a simple card trick, like a simple pick a card, any card, and it's gonna turn into this big thing. And the and the lady wasn't trying to screw me up, but when I fanned the cards, she literally took the card off the top of the deck. And nobody does that. You would never think that that's what the person's going to do until it actually happens.
Yeah.
And then when she did it, I was fast enough to think to call her on it and to pretend like, no, you never take the card off the top because that's what a magician wants you to do. They want you to go for the card that's the most obvious. So I literally took it back from her and put it right back on top, and I spread the deck again. And I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
really, really try to screw me up and pick up card. And she did it again. She took the same card off the top. And then I was stuck. And it wasn't until I got home that I was like, now I know I would do. Now I know what I would do if
Mm-hmm.
that happened again. But in that moment, like I was stuck because I was like, okay, it's not the trick isn't going to go the way I wanted it to now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
it was funny that I said that and I took it back from her and I got this big laugh from the audience and I think that laugh kind of finished the show fine. But
Yeah,
it was just the
yeah,
fact that she just did it again and I was like, I wasn't prepared for that. You just don't know what's going to happen live. You have no idea. You think you're gonna spread the cards and they're gonna take what you want and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
not that they're not trying to mess you up because I think they want you to succeed. The audience wants you to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll do or say something and you'll be like, I wasn't ready for that.
And
Yeah,
take notes. Write this stuff down after you're done performing, either on your phone or have a notepad with you and take notes. Have a little
yeah,
diary. One of my really good friends, Alec Blanco, he was super big on having a diary. He would have a diary with him all the time. And he would just be like, yeah, there's some days that just an idea pops in my head. I just open my diary and I just write it down in there. He said I don't like to put it on my phone because if it goes on my phone, it's going to get lost. I'm not going to know where it is. It's gonna get buried by all like my grocery lists and all that. No, like a physical diary you would have with them. So like take notes and really, like you said, go home and think about it and be like, okay, well, this happened today and that wasn't good. What can I
yeah.
do to kind of fix that in the future so it doesn't happen again? Or if it does happen again, how can I kind of, get myself out of that hole?
Public speakers will record themselves while in the moment so that when it's a great way to take notes because you're going to forget all those little things. You go back and watch it. Sometimes people even say watch it on fast forward to see if you're constantly making the same motions and jerkiness or like you're just like I don't walk around very much or I don't ever turn to the left side of the audience and talk to those people over there like oh I'm
Mm-hmm.
noticing that I'm saying the same words all the time like I'm using the same phrase all the time. You can
Mm-hmm.
mix things up like yeah you're constantly retooling what you're doing and making it better and you can't do that unless you perform live.
One of the most common questions I get is when did you realize that your set was finished and it was like exactly how you wanted it and that's the way that you do it now? And my answer is it isn't.
Over.
It's constantly changing, even now.
Yeah,
Even so, I just did a week at the Magic Castle, St. Patty's Day
yeah,
week, and the first show wasn't the same as the
same
last
as the
show. I made
last.
little
Yeah, there's no way.
adjustments. I made little adjustments throughout that week, just things that I was learning about those audiences because it's a different audience performing at the Magic Castle. They're coming in, they're expecting you to be really freaking good. And I
Yeah.
was the late performer too. So I was literally like out of there at 1 o'clock in the morning every night. That was my last show ended at one
So
o'clock in
they
the
were all
morning.
drunk.
They were all drunk. They were all drunk. And like this, I'd be doing my thing and they'd be like, and
Yeah.
not necessarily because I'm bad at what I
Right.
do. It's just because like they've been drinking all night and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. They're done,
Yeah.
right? and you know, having to deal with that, you know. And so or jokes that I wrote for the Magic Castle specifically, because you're catering to magicians and laymen. You're trying to kind of get a little bit of both. Certain jokes that I wrote, I was like, I want these to work out in this way, and then as I'm doing it, I'm like making little tweaks and little adjustments to it. Here's the perfect example. I'll give you one right now. So I do a bit with an invisible purse. So it's basically like a purse frame, but the bag part of the purse is missing. So
Yeah.
the gag is you show that the purse is empty, but then when I reach in, I'm pulling stuff out of it. Right. So I open my act by pulling sponge balls out of this invisible purse and doing a whole sponge ball routine and all of that stuff. And then I move into a card routine. So I have someone pick a card, they sign their name on the card, and now the card's going to go to the top of the deck. It's going to go to my mouth. It's going to go under the box. The whole deck vanishes and goes under the box, right? And then I say, here, I'm going to do this one more time. Put the card in the deck. Bam, the card has vanished. Where's the card? And then I look at the box and I lift up the box because they're thinking it's going to be into the box. And then I go, and there's something in the box. And I scoot the box towards them. And they open up the box, and inside is a playing card, but it's not their card. It's just a card that says check the purse. So what I wanted them to do was to go, oh, the Gucci purse, right? The invisible purse that's on the table that I used earlier. You know what was happening? People were getting so excited and digging through their purse looking for the card. And I'm like, that would be really cool, but I'm not that good. And I had to kind of like redirect. But now it's like I was up here for them, and now it's like, oh, really? It's not in my purse. So, so instead of saying check the purse, I
Right.
rewrote the card to say check the Gucci purse, because that's what I tell them, that the invisible purse. I do
Mm.
the gag where it's like, ooh, it's, you know, have you seen my purse? It's cute, right?
Yeah, it's Gucci.
It's Gucci. I mean, it was. It's missing the Gucci part there. And then I start pulling stuff out of it. So just by making that little change, check the Gucci purse, they knew that I was talking about the invisible purse frame that was on the table now. They weren't
Yeah.
assuming it was their purse that they were supposed to look for the card in. So you learn those little things as you go along, right? And you make these little adjustments and things like that. And still to this day, I mean, this was 2 weeks ago, and I'm still making these little adjustments to my act. So
I think some people don't realize that if your audience is following you, they're gonna get they and they're following you right. They will probably get to your kicker before you do. And they're gonna see it coming. They just don't know what it's gonna be. And so the anticipation builds up. Like when you start saying, like, oh, and where were the three people that I threw the balls out to? As soon as those people start to stand up and they start to play with their ball, there's gasps already because they're
or it's
expecting,
gonna
oh,
be
you're gonna,
inside or whatever.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be inside there. It before it even opens up, like it could have been, you could have gotten the card wrong, but they're already there. And so, like you said, if they're already there and you got them at that point, you want to keep pushing it. And if you can't keep pushing it, then you're like scrambling to pick that. You're like, oh, it's not in my purse. Like, oh,
Exactly.
that would have been cool though.
Or a miracle happens, and then as magicians, we want to keep going after that,
Right.
right? So perfect example, you're doing your thing and you accidentally drop a card on the floor, and you're like, you know, you pick up the card and you go, name a card. And they go, I don't know, three of diamonds. And you're holding the three of diamonds. No magic trick. It literally is just a coincidence that you dropped a card and they happen to name the one that you're holding. And you just go, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael O'Brien. Thank you so much. Three of diamonds. And you give them the card, and that's it. And you let it lie, because what you just did there was a freaking miracle, right?
Right. Yeah.
You, because later they're gonna go tell their friends, dude, he threw the cards on the floor and then he picked one up and he said, name a card. And I said the name of the card and he turned it over and it was the freaking card, right? Like that story has no explanation to it. There's no way that could have happened, right? And so, and then on the other end of that now, there's been times where I'm doing my magic thing and right in the middle of the trick, you know, I got my break and I'm like, crap, I lost my break. now I don't know what their card is, and I don't know
Yeah.
where their card is in the deck. So like I'm like scrambling to try to find out their card, and then the whole time, like you said, David, about them being one step ahead, they're like, oh yeah, this is part of it. Look, he's gonna pretend like he's screwing up the trick, but he's gonna find the card. And now I'm just like, no, really, I'm screwing up the trick though. And you're trying to find your way out. And so faking it till you make it is another thing too. Don't just be like, oh well, I lost the break. I guess I screwed up. No, like try to find a way out of it. Be like,
Right.
is this your card? And they go, no. And you go, okay, well, it's not that one. How about that one? Ah? And they're gonna go, no. And I'm gonna go, oh, 50 more cards to go, I guess. That one. And then they're gonna laugh. No, 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 seriously though, what was your card? And then they
Right.
tell
And then you
you,
just ask them.
yeah, what was your card? And then they tell you, and you pretend like you're looking for it. You find it, but you pretend like it's missing. And you're just going to secretly palm the card, and you're going to go, oh, I know why I can't find it. Because I don't keep that card in the deck. I actually keep that card in my wallet. And then you take out your wallet because you got like your card to wallet set up or whatever. You take out the wallet and you open it up, and then there are cards inside. Boom. Right. So like fake it till you make it is another thing too, because they don't know what you're going to do. They have an idea, like you said, they know something's going to happen. Oh, it's he's pretending like this is going wrong, but it's going to be like a big reveal or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like they have the ending worked out. They have the start and they have the ending. Okay, I'm going to pick a card and he's going to find
He's gonna
it.
find it.
That's the
Right.
start. That's the end.
Yeah.
The roller coaster in the middle that you take them on is going to be the thing that keeps them interested. And hopefully, the little roller coaster goes like this, and then eventually goes up to the top, and then drops down for the climax at the end, a big final drop at the end. Right? That's kind of what you want your little storyline to do progression
Yeah.
wise. You want it to go up and up and up until it gets to that climax point, and then you release the tension from the climax, and that's your applause moment. Thank you so much, and then that's how you get people to clap for you.
Yeah. And just for anybody that like feels uncomfortable with palming or a wallet, I think the way out of that is you just say, "Oh, what's your card?" And they say the four of clubs. You'd secretly find the four of clubs, and then you cut it second from top, and then you
Mm-hmm.
just say, "Oh, I know why I couldn't find it. It's because that card always disguises itself, and you turn it over, and it's a different card, and then you just do a shake change or an Erdnase change, something
Mm-hmm.
simple. Don't scare yourself and panic and go, okay, what am I gonna do with this one card? At that point, the trick's already gone, so you're free to do anything at that point. You're free to find their
Mm-hmm.
card and then immediately just go into another trick with their card. You can say, well, here, maybe it was lost before because you didn't sign it. So now sign your card. Now no
There
one
you
knows
go.
it. And then you just go into your ambitious routine. Like,
Yep. Or maybe you're planning to do the ambitious anyway, and then just
right,
kind of hit the hard reset button on it and just kind
right.
of start
You
over.
throw that trick out, and they have no idea. Like I learned this when I was doing like working with teenagers. Like
Mm-hmm.
somebody once said, never tell your audience that this wasn't what they were supposed to see because they have no idea anyway. Never say, oh, you know what? It was going to be so much better than this. Like, don't tell them that. Just they had no idea how it was going to go anyway. It's so funny when you fan the deck and you say pick a card, and then some wise guy says, "Oh, I've seen this before."
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you haven't.
875,000 card tricks, and you've seen this one
Exactly.
before.
You have no idea how this is going to go. They have no idea how this. That's like saying I've heard this joke before. You haven't.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Knock knock. Who's there? Oh, I know this one already. I know
yeah,
exactly what's
exactly.
gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think both of those are really good points. Like, you're never going to screw up until you do it live. You're either going to screw up or they're going to screw you up. And you've got to, it all of magic is multiple outs. It's like now I'm just going to pivot and I'm going to do something different. So,
And you know how you get good at that? And you do it over and over and over. And for people, right? Because you're not going to learn this stuff sitting in your room, practicing in front of your mirror, or doing magic for Instagram or TikTok. Going out into the world and doing this and doing it over and over and over again is how you're going to over the years, you're just going to learn how to deal with all of these things. Like I kind of
right.
have outs for basically any situation now, right? Oh,
Yeah,
well, can I shuffle the deck? You sure can.
sure.
Got the card palmed. They're shuffling the cards. Awesome. I take the deck back. You shuffle these. They're in no particular. I just added the card right back on the top again, right? Like you over the years, you just start to come up with, ways that you can deal with all of these different like little things that come up. Or people will make clever jokes like, can you make my wife disappear?
Yeah, always,
Right? And
always.
you have to act like that's the first
Never
time you've
heard
ever
that
heard
before.
that. Right? And you can come off as very witty and clever, right? Like someone will be like, "Oh, how the heck did you do that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, very well."
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or another one, people will say like, "Oh my God," or "Jesus Christ." And I'll be like, "You could just call me Michael, but thank you. I appreciate
Right.
the compliment," right? So
Yeah.
like it sounds like like whoa, he's quick on his feet. He's just coming up with this stuff, but it's like, bro, like I hear this like 3 times a week, you know? And so the more you do it, the more you're just going to get used to these things and you're going to be able to respond to them, whether it
Yeah.
be verbally or, you know, adjusting your
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah. Let's finish with going back to the things that you were carrying because you made me think of something with having sponge balls and rings and a deck of cards. It makes me think that when you went out to perform, not only did you want to entertain people and do magic, but you wanted to do magic that you actually liked.
Hmm.
And I think that sometimes as magicians, one of the things that we second guess is whether the spectator will like my trick. And so then I'm listening to other magicians and I'm asking them questions like, well, what are good tricks to perform for street magic? What's a good trick to do for parlor? What's a good trick to do for stage? And now I'm asking somebody else's opinion about what they perform. And then I'm hearing other magicians say, "Oh, I would never do iPhone magic. Phone magic is so obvious." And then I'm thinking, "Well, I like phone magic, so I shouldn't do it." Or, like, "Oh, I would never use rings because rings just screams like I bought this at a magic store." Yeah, but I'm also like I don't have to explain rings. You're a magician and you walk up and you pull out rings. You don't have to say like, you know, I found these weird circle things in my dad's basement. Like, you don't have to explain it. They already know what it is. It's
Yeah, it's a classic
rings.
of magic. It's like the
It's a
cups and the
classic of magic,
balls.
right? You bring out
Yeah.
sponge balls. I don't have to explain it and say, "Hey, I found these in my kid's toy chest." Whereas now there's a lot of magic tricks where you have to start with this explanation as to why you have it. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I've got this deck of Uno cards, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be? I have this, I brought these coffee stir sticks from coffee because I just had coffee. Like, you have to start with this story. Whereas if you just, I don't know, I don't want to say don't listen to people. I think there's a way to listen to critics or there's a way to listen to other magicians speak into you. But there has to be a point where you push all of that aside and say, I want I want to do rings. I
Yeah.
want to find a way to do I want to do sponge balls. I want to do these tricks and I don't care that everybody else says that it's not organic or what. Like you should perform the magic that you want to do.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about taking constructive feedback from people, especially if they know what they're talking about. They've been doing it for a long time. But you should always take constructive feedback with a pinch of salt and try to get the constructive feedback from like all angles, not just one opinion. Don't just listen to what I'm telling you. Get
Right.
other opinions from other people, you know?
Right.
Someone else might be like, dude, I would never ask someone to perform magic for them. I would never walk up, hi, my name is Michael. Can I show you something? No, dude, like that's too passive. I would just walk up, be like, hi, I'm a magician. You guys want to go ahead and pick a card? Here, take one. Boom. And you just like launch into it. That might be what works best for them. And then you might try that, and that might be what works best for you better than, the way I do it. So definitely take the advice with a pinch of salt, meaning, take the feedback, but think about it. Weigh it against other feedback that you've gotten from other people, weigh it against your own opinions, because your own opinions are pretty important too. Like you just
Yeah.
said, I really want to perform this thing. If I had a nickel for every time someone said, oh, you should never perform that thing because, you know, the perfect example is the Svengali deck. I've been
Yeah.
told, for those that don't know, Svengali deck is basically it's a special deck of cards that's designed in such a way that when you flick through the cards one direction, it looks like a completely ordinary deck. But then when you flick through it the other direction, all the cards have changed into the same card, the card that the spectator chose. So let's just say they chose the three of hearts. I could show all the cards are different, and then bam, now the whole deck's three of hearts, right? And I remember people being like, dude, you should never do that move when you're using a
Right.
Svengali deck because it gives away that you're using a Svengali deck. And now
Yep.
people know that you're using that deck of cards, right? Because of course
Yep.
you can do other things with it. You can do an ambitious card, you can do
Sure.
card to pocket, you can do any card at any number. There's like a bunch of different plots that you can do with it. But then I'm over here like, dude, I demo this at the magic shop like 20 times a day, and never do people go, oh, I know how you did that. It's because secretly the deck is a Svengali deck. And it's like, no, dude, they're blown away by it. Of course, if they know about a Svengali deck already, they're going to know what it is. But, you have to think, how many people are there in this world? Even people, there are people that have gone their whole lives with never seeing a magic trick done in person.
Correct.
Maybe they've seen a trick on TikTok, or maybe they've
Right.
seen like an episode of America's Got Talent or something.
Sure.
But there are
Yeah.
people, and I'm not talking about like a third world country somewhere in the
Oh
middle
yeah,
of
no.
nowhere. I'm talking
Yeah.
like Los Angeles.
Yes.
There are people that have gone their entire lives with never seeing a trick. They don't have that grandpa that pulled a coin from their ear or showed them a card trick or
Right.
did, the
Yeah.
this thumb thing. Like there are people that have gone their whole lives without seeing that. And it's a lot more than you think that it is
Yeah.
too. And so for people to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that because someone might know that it's a trick deck or something, it's like, yeah, maybe one in like 500 people might know what a Svengali deck is. I'm willing to bet it's a lot less than that. I'm willing to bet it's like
Yeah.
one in like a few thousand people know what a Svengali deck is, right? And even if they know what it is, you can still perform it for them and they'll still be blown away by it a lot of the time because they forget,
Yeah.
like they might have bought the trick, opened up the box, practiced it for 10 minutes and been like, all right, and put it back in
Yeah.
the box, and now they don't know. Or they saw a video online showing how it works and they're going to forget about that. So take what people say, take their feedback, absorb it, consider it, but ultimately you need to decide if it's feedback that's going to benefit you or not. And it's not a bad idea to do A/B testing too, right?
Right.
So try it this way, do it 10 times, and then try it this way 10 times instead and see which
Yeah.
one works out better.
Comedians do that. They'll flip their jokes. They'll say which joke should come first, this one or this one, and they'll do that in their sets. They'll flip them, and then depending on what the audience, because that is with the best. You were saying, don't take, I mean, take advice from other magicians with a grain of salt. The best advice you're going to get is from the audience and their reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that you want to listen to more so. And if you're still at the stage where you're just listening to magicians, you got to get to that next step where you start listening to the audience. And then basically
Mm-hmm.
the magicians speak will go down and the audience speak will go up. And you'll say, you know what? I know my character. I know my audience. I know it works for me. Right. And I blow people away when I show them every single card in the Svengali deck. You know, they're throwing stuff at me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I'm trying to figure out my marketing material, let's just say I'm working on my marketing material for wedding gigs because I want to do more weddings. Am I going to go ask my magician buddy for his advice on what the best ad copy is for my marketing campaign for my wedding thing? Or am I going to ask brides that are currently looking for entertainment for their wedding? They're probably the people I should be asking, right?
Right.
Because they're the people that I'm trying to target. It's the same kind of thing when it comes to your performance. Unless you're a magician that performs for other magicians, there are
Magicians.
people that
Right.
almost exclusively will put, like I put Shutagawa in that kind of category. He's like a magician's magician. He's going to
Yeah.
perform for other magicians. Like R. Paul Wilson, I had the pleasure of performing with him all week this week or a couple weeks ago when I did my castle run. Brilliant. And you can tell that most of the people that went to see him were magicians because magicians absolutely love watching R. Paul do his thing, you know? But not all of us are out here trying to perform for him. I'm not a magician's magician. Like a lot of what I do is stuff that I know that the general public is going to really enjoy. And I'm not saying all, but most of the stuff that I do in my act is things that most magicians would be like, okay, that was cool and you did it really well. But I mean, you
Right.
didn't fool me. Like, I know how you did that,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah. And I think that's the problem when you listen to certain magicians speak into you because they're also thinking like a magician. So they're thinking, oh, you wouldn't do that with a Svengali deck because then they would know it's a forcing deck. But I think the biggest compliments I ever get are people that say, if your, 40-hour week job doesn't work out for you, you could end up being a magician. You're that good. And I'm thinking in my head,
Mhm.
no, I'm not. I am not. You've just never seen good magic before. And you're seeing me. And so because you've never seen live magic, you don't have anything to compare it to. So yeah, you are blown away by the simplest of things that,
Mhm.
a magician would be like, nah, I would never do that. It's beneath me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I hope it's been enlightening for some people and that they've gotten something from this as well. I think that's one of the things that's the hardest is, getting out there and performing and, branching out from, am I just going to do this for my brother or my mom or some kids on the playground? Am I actually going to get out there and just take my magic from here to here and start performing for strangers?
And one thing I'll actually tag on to the end of
Yeah,
this, believe it or not, you're gonna find this difficult to believe. Performing for strangers is actually a lot easier than performing for your family and your friends, at least in my opinion, because your family and your friends are not able to suspend their disbelief. They are gonna roast you. They know that what you're doing isn't real because they know you, right? It's like again, I'm going to use like Cutco, for example, like the company that sells the knives. It's like a multi-level thing where you get recruited in, and then they want you to go sell a knife set. And the first people that they tell you to try to sell the knives to are your family, right? And now you're like, okay, well, I gotta convince my family to like buy this knives, like I'm some kind of professional. And they're like,
right.
bro, I know that you just started selling these knives like a week ago. You don't know what you're talking about, right? But
Yeah.
if I were to go to a stranger and to do my pitch, and my pitch is polished and everything, their willingness to buy into what I'm trying to sell them is it's gonna be a lot easier to kind of break that wall down because they don't know who I am. And I feel like magic is kind of the same thing. When
Yeah.
you performing for a stranger, they don't know what to expect. Whereas when you're performing for your family or your friends, they they know you already. They know who you are as a person. So it's a lot more difficult for them to kind of suspend their disbelief and to buy into what you're doing and to bring that, sort of barrier down. So
And they've seen
if you're
and they've seen
worried
100
about going
tricks.
out, what's
Yeah,
that?
they've seen 100 tricks. They've seen
Hmm.
all your tricks.
Yeah. So if you're
So
worried about going out into the world because you're like, oh man, I'm in the comfort of my bubble, I'm performing for my family and my friends, trust me, approaching people is going to be difficult at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. The actual performance portion of performing for strangers, in my opinion, is loads easier than trying to perform for people that you know.
that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.